Asa Butterfield plays amateur sex therapist Otis Milburn on Netflix's Sex Education. I'm Riley Chow, contributing editor with Gold Derby. Now, let's start at the beginning of season two. There's that montage that culminates in your mother finding you in the car. So, can you tell me
Yeah,
about the making of that scene, like how you're able to shoot it with special effects?
this always comes up. Everyone loves talking about this scene. I wonder why. Um, yeah, I remember reading that scene the first time I get sent. First episode of season two. I'm super excited. Open episode one, start reading, and I'm like, oh my god. I like call up Ben, who's the director. And I'm like, how are we gonna do this? Because it could quite easily be quite grotesque and sort of like not very nice. So we needed to kind of find a space for it that felt honest, felt funny, and kind of told a story in 3 minutes or 4 minutes. I feel like it goes on painfully, but I think that might just be me. Um, it was, yeah, I mean, with a show like this, I think you kind of get used to putting yourself out there and potentially doing embarrassing things. And quite quickly, you just get on with it, and it's no longer embarrassing. It's just kind of funny. And I remember us having a whole day dedicated to some of these scenes, and so each shot on the call sheet was me masturbating in a different location, and I found that hilarious, and it was sort of just fun to go along with it. And it is kind of ridiculous. My job is kind of ridiculous at times. That was definitely up there with some of the more vile things I've done on set. But I think we did it well. I think we managed to make something that was memorable. Certainly.
You seen that premiere episode in recent months? Because there's an outbreak, so everybody's wearing a mask. Eric is yelling at people to wash their hands. There's even that question about like, can I use disinfectant on myself?
It was, yeah, it was weirdly foreboding of our current situation. And I did notice. I remember thinking, man, we were all at one point we were all wearing these masks last year when we were filming it, and now it's all kind of come back full circle. Uh, yeah, it's funny, funny that.
I think a big scene for Otis in the second season is that party sequence. I think for me, maybe the most horrifying part was when Eric, didn't step in. He just let it happen. Well, that and also how Otis didn't help clean up at all. But what can you tell me about shooting that sequence?
That was one of the most fun days I've had, not just on this set, but on any set. And I was really looking forward to that sequence, that scene. And I quite enjoyed drunk acting. And thankfully, the way we shot it is that we shot the whole sequence over 3 days. And on the first day, we did all the sort of beginnings of the party, where Otis is a bit kind of nervous. He's kind of running around, kind of panicking a little bit. And on the second and third day, we actually shot it chronologically, so we got progressively drunker. So I could sort of try and kind of feel that physically to get progressively drunker until the last day where we did the whole speech and did all his sort of dance moves. And it's yeah, I mean this job in this show is so much fun just in general, but to really kind of let loose like that, as Otis was quite cathartic because he doesn't really get to do that very often. And I think both myself and Ben, the director, I think probably indulged ourselves a bit too much in how much we filmed. And there was a lot actually which didn't make the cut of just various moments of Otis being drunk and kind of making a fool of himself. Yeah.
I feel like that really changes the dynamic between Otis and Maeve and Ola. I'm wondering, for you personally, where do you fall on all these? Like, what team are you on?
I don't know if I'm on a team. I think they're all still learning and they definitely bring things out of each other. I think Otis and Maeve really get each other in a way other people don't, and they kind of bring the best out of each other in a way. Whether that means they're right for a relationship, a romantic relationship at this stage in their life, I don't know. I think Otis definitely has some maturing to do. I think Maeve does as well. Both can be quite impulsive, and but if they end up in a relationship, I think there's things they would need to work out. But that kind of goes to saying with any romantic relationship. got to learn things about each other. So yeah, we'll see. I think they've both got a few more hurdles ahead of them before that happens, if it happens. So I'm just excited to read some more of season.
For me, I'd say I'm on Team Ruby. I feel like there's just too much baggage with Maeve after that.
I mean, Ruby, yeah, I love that getting to see that side of Ruby, and Mimi's a lot of fun to work with.
Yeah,
It was a surprisingly sweet sort of friendship that blossomed from that night. I think yeah, I hope we get to see more of that relationship, or at least see more to that side of Ruby.
yeah, I thought that was a really interesting pairing, not one that I, thought we would ever see. Is there anyone from the cast who you wish you had more scenes with?
I wish I had more scenes with Connor, who plays Adam. We had quite a few in season 1, but we only had one scene together in season 2. Um, we were actually like talking to each other, and I missed that. I think Connor's brilliant actor, and does something so clever and sensitive with Adam, um, and really, I loved working with him in season 1. All of them. I mean, it's so hard to pick one, but that was something I did miss going into season 2.
What do you think Otis is saving up for with all the money that he's collecting?
I mean, he probably doesn't know what he's saving up for. He just saves. I think a lot of people do just try and save money where they can. Um, for what they don't know, it's kind of like disaster prevention. He's a little bit neurotic, Otis. So I think he's probably imagines that if the world goes up in flames, he's got this little piggy bank that he can build a shelter with or something.
Now, I was surprised to learn that you guys film in Wales because I can't recall seeing Wales on screen before. I imagine there's kind of like it feels like you're all going off to summer camp since you're in that kind of remote forest location. What do you have to say about the location?
Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of things filmed in the UK are actually filmed in Wales. They've got an amazing film department, amazing crews, they got studios there, and lovely people. And it's a lot easier and a lot quieter than London, at least, but also other parts of the UK. And it has amazing scenery, as you said. You see in Sex Ed, rolling green hills, the coast, the seaside, beaches. And you never really expect that when you think of Wales. You probably more think of sort of rain, than some mountains, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's great to be able to film somewhere that one is pretty close to home. Being in London is only like a couple of hours away, so I can come back home on the weekend. Also, just having a kind of home away from home with the other cast crew and getting to know them, and we work with the same people on season 1 and season 2. So we've kind of got this family over there, which is nice to have. Nice knowing you've got that going back into it.
Now, what was your sex education like? And do you know if the show's depiction of the sex education that they get in schools is anything like what they get in contemporary England?
I mean, I can't really remember much of my sex education in school. I remember bits of it. I remember lots of laughing and lots of sort of pointing fingers and not really kind of opening up to conversations in certain ways, which is probably pretty natural. And in the show, it's sort of similarly crude, and everyone's kind of slightly skirting around the topic. And yeah, I think sex education, I don't think I realized it when I was that age, but looking back on it, it definitely, when no one's really learning the things they need to learn in school. But it's also really hard to teach that, because you need to have just an open discussion, and teenagers are not good at having open discussions, especially about sex. So someone smarter than me is going to think of a way to do that properly, keep them engaged.
I talked to Gatwa a couple weeks ago, and he talked me through his insane process, which was the most comprehensive one that I've ever heard about. I'm wondering if you're aware of what he does and what you do once you receive the scripts.
Process. What's the process? Sort of process and breaking down script.
Yeah, he's telling me how he charts his character's journey like on a graph, and then he highlights everything, and tons of work.
I've I don't chat too much about. I think people's processes are so kind of unique to them. I don't actually speak too much about it with people. I think some people are probably more open about it than others. I find it quite hard to articulate my process. I think because I didn't go to drama school, kind of just learned on the job. For me, it's just a very um, kind of instinctive how it feels in the moment with the other actors. And I'm lucky because I can learn lines really quickly. So then I can let it just feel it out there in the moment on the day, rather than I guess trying to figure it out all beforehand. Because I often find you don't really know what the other actors are going to do. You don't really know how it's going to feel actually when you get there on the day. So I try and leave myself open to be affected by what's going on. Once you have an understanding of the character, which thankfully in this case Otis, I've been doing it for 2 years now. I feel like I've got a really good understanding of him, his flaws, and what pisses him off, and his relationships. And so that's becomes quite natural.
So we're doing this chat right before Emmy voting starts. And if you were nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series for the second season, do you know what episode you would submit as your showcase for consideration?
Ah, um, hmm, um, probably possibly episode 7, the party scene, or episode 8. I mean, there's a lot of good there's a lot of great episodes in this. I find it hard to pick, especially pick from my own. Um, I'm always very critical, so it's hard to know. Um, but really, I mean, I do really enjoy playing those comedic moments, and so for me, that party scene was a real chance to flex those muscles whilst also doing something quite different in terms of the character and Otis's character, and something a side we haven't seen to him. Um, and to just kind of have fun with that and really go for it. It's great.
Now, the first season was actually not nominated for any Emmys, but I think that's largely because the Academy rejected the comedy submission. They said that, your show is a drama. I'm wondering, is that something you're aware of, and kind of like what was the response from all of you about that?
Um, well, for us, I think, I mean, when we read this script, I was laughing so much I couldn't not see this as a comedy. So it was surprising. And I think for us, something which, and I've spoken with Laurie about this and Ben, the only reason the drama works so well is because we're able to laugh and have those moments where we take down our bounds and really connect with these characters and have our sort of spirits lifted, and then it makes the dramatic moments that much more impact. But it's through the comedy and through humor and those sort of clever layers that Laurie and Ben create together that I think it works.
And what can you tell us about Otis's journey in the upcoming third season?
I wish I could tell you. I don't. I really don't know. I've got some ideas, but I've only read one episode, and it did not go the direction I thought it would. So I'm in the dark as much as you are.
All right. And finally, I want to ask you about this other show that you were on this year called 50 States of Fright. First of all, have
Yeah.
you seen a lot of the Quibi content?
I've seen bits of it. I've seen 50 States, although not all of the episodes. But it was fun. It was cool to film in a different way and to kind of just really focus on a very short sequence, but to really kind of get into the nitty gritty details of it, and then be able to shoot that whole story in about 5 days was kind of unimaginable for me, coming from feature films where you spend 3 months on something like that. So it was a cool, a very kind of different filming experience.
Yeah, that's an anthology series. It has 5 stories. Yours is the best one. It's a lot of fun. Um,
Oh, that's cool. Glad you think so.
Now, with Quibi, like it varies on the director. Some of them they shoot differently. They frame it differently for the portrait versus landscape formats. Yours was kind of more just like chop off the sides, but I imagine you still have to shoot it differently. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, for us as actors, it didn't make so much difference.
Hmm.
Obviously, we're just sort of focusing on the performance and capturing those moments, and then and yeah, capturing that on camera. I think the difficulty came when, well, I guess one for the editor, sort of meets the requirements, but then also just storytelling, having to cut all of the kind of the excess that was streamlined, and you could kind of tell the story in an X amount of time, and not let that take away from what you're seeing, and not let that be a detriment to the performance and the cinematography and everything else. So it was a careful balance.
All right, Asa. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. Best of luck to you at the Emmys this summer. And you can watch other interviews with Emmy contenders on our YouTube channel, and you can go to goldderby.com to make your own Emmy predictions.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Riley.